Hello everyone and welcome to episode 4 of the series where I attempt to make a game using ChatGPT 4 with a fully voiced AI assistant named Charlotte. Charlotte is an AI personality that I made using ChatGPT 4 as well as with ElevenLabs integration and a Chrome extension that combines the two together to let us talk back and forth pretty seamlessly. Charlotte, why don't you say hi to the wonderful viewers and tell everyone what we're planning on tackling today?
Hello viewers! Today we're diving into an exciting part of our Roblox game development. We're focusing on enhancing the game environment by adding dynamic elements. Specifically, we'll explore scripting techniques to bring more interactive features into the game, enriching the overall player experience. Stay tuned as we delve into these new developments and bring our game world to life.
So we made some good progress in the last episode. And I did some additional stuff off camera just to get things visually looking a bit better, and I can show you that now. So I'm just going to go to the game here, and so you can see that I kind of added some more relatable elements to the scene, and I'll just run through it so that you guys can see. Let's run this. So this is just mainly for my benefit and also for you guys, so you don't have to look at the god-awful stuff that I had set up before. This isn't like too much better, but it's still using free random assets. But I added a little bit of life to the scene, I guess. So like outside, there's some areas that you can walk around. There's actually like a cave here now, and we can do stuff like we can add things on the outside, like a shop or whatever, that kind of stuff, like a cell area, stuff like that, just to kind of make it a little bit easier to see kind of where we're heading. I also added, with these copper ores here, I gave them a little bit of light. They emit light, so when you're in the cave, you'll see. This is a representation of the cave. Now, it's of course, like I said, none of this is final. This is all going to change. This is just to make things a little bit easier to visualize. So, like you can see, the copper here actually emits light. So when you mine it, it will not emit light anymore. And I added some light and, this little whatever fountain here. I don't know. I added a little stairs sort of area over here just to give it a little bit of height. And yeah, so just some simple stuff, just to kind of give it a little bit of character. And come out this side, you're back on the outside. Now these entrances here are kind of weird. I'll probably mess with those a little bit later, but for now, I think it's okay. So I'm going to just go back out. We can talk about what we're going to be doing specifically today. So Charlotte mentioned that we're going to explore scripting techniques to bring more interactive features to the game. So I think she would have gone into more detail, but I actually told her off camera to keep the responses more concise because I felt like I was going through and editing out a lot of what she was saying because she would just go on for like 3 or 4 minutes sometimes just explaining stuff. And, I thought that at times that's okay, but a lot of the times that can be really boring and I end up just bloating the video and the editing process. So yeah, I figured I should probably ask her to kind of keep it short and sweet a little bit. So we'll see how that goes in this one. But overall, I've been getting some really positive feedback about the series. You guys seem to really like it. So yeah. I'm not going to try and change up things too much, but anyway. So what we're going to be doing today is we're actually going to be adding some more variation in the nodes. So like right now we have copper, but I would like to add, maybe iron and gold or something like that, just to kind of give it a little bit more variety, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think, that should be good. The other thing I wanted to add was a sell area or some way that you can sell after you mine. We probably want to add like a backpack space limitation as well, but I don't know if we'll get to that in this particular video. But yeah, so that's kind of what we want to do. So I'm actually going to get started by doing a couple of little tweaks off camera here. So like I just wanted to show, the nodes in here, but we're going to be spotting them dynamically in the cave. So I'm going to get rid of all of these nodes and I'm just going to keep one that we can, clone. There's a couple on the outside on this side that that we could probably use to clone with, but we're going to get Charlotte to try and do this all dynamically. So I'll be back after I clean this up a little bit and then we'll go from there. All right, so I got rid of all of the ores here and I just left this one. I also changed it so that it has 10 health instead of 1 health. Now, the reason for this is because, number one, the ores are all going to have higher health values, and the pickaxes are going to have higher damage values. That way I can spread it across. So, for example, like a copper ore could have, let's say, 10 health, and the first pickaxe can do like 3 damage. So you'd have to hit it, like 4 times before you actually mine it. Whereas if you upgrade your pickaxe, then, you'll be able to mine it faster. And then the other ores will progressively go higher from there. So like if you come across a diamond ore, for example, then you're not going to be able to mine it with your regular pickaxe very easily, because it's probably going to have like 1,000 health or something like that. So it's not going to be based on like number of hits. It's going to be kind of a health value. And then we're probably going to have like a health bar over top of each node. As you hit it, it'll go down. So yeah, that's kind of the idea there. The other thing is we're probably going to be adjusting this health value dynamically through the script, not having a hard-coded value. So like this value is probably going to change. But yeah, so what I want Charlotte to do is I want her to place these nodes in areas where I'm going to specify that we can spawn nodes. So I'll probably have like little invisible spawn areas where the nodes can spawn, and that's where she will place the nodes. So I'm going to tell her that. Let's just go out here so that it's a little bit brighter. Okay, Charlotte, so the next thing we want to do in this game is make it so that we can spawn ores dynamically around the map. So I want you to give me a script that adds a node to the next available spawnable location. Now I'm going to be placing spawnable locations around the map that are invisible to the player, but we probably want to have a table that keeps track of all of these locations and spawns the node in the next location that is available once we pass the node that we want to populate.
To create a script that spawns nodes at predefined locations on your Roblox map, you'll first need to place invisible markers in the world where you want these nodes to spawn. These markers can be simple parts named uniquely, like spawn location 1, spawn location 2, etc. Here's a concise explanation of a script that does this. Script overview. Create a table of spawn locations. The script will first find all the predefined spawn locations in the workspace and store them in a table. Spawn nodes. It will then spawn a node at the next available location from the table. Sample script. Notes. Markers in the world. Place invisible parts in the world where you want nodes to spawn and name them appropriately. Node model. The node model should be a reference to the model of your node stored in a service like server storage. Spawn function. The spawn node function checks each location for an existing node of the same type before spawning a new one. This script provides a basic framework to start with. You can expand it to include more sophisticated checks, different types of nodes, and cooldowns between spawns.
So Charlotte, I want this to spawn the nodes on the server so that it spawns once every time we regenerate the nodes on the server, and any player that comes in to the game will get these nodes populated on their client side. Is that what this script is going to do?
Yes, the script I provided is designed to run on the server side and will spawn nodes in a way that all players in the game can see them. Here's a clarification of how it works in a multiplayer environment. Server-side execution. The script should be placed in a server-side script, like a script in ServerScript service. This ensures that the node generation logic runs on the server. Shared game world. When nodes are spawned by a server-side script, they appear in the game world for all players. This means that every player who joins the game will see the same nodes in the same locations. Consistent state across clients. Since the nodes are spawned on the server, their state is consistent across all clients. Any player joining the game will see the nodes that have already been spawned. Regeneration logic. If you want to regenerate nodes periodically or under certain conditions, you can add that logic to the server-side script. For example, you might want to respawn nodes every few minutes or when a player mines a node. This setup ensures that the game environment is the same for all players, which is crucial for multiplayer games on Roblox. The script manages the spawning of nodes, and all players in the game will see the nodes spawn in real time.
Okay, so that's good. She clarified that that was the case. So now I created a script in the ServerScript service called spawn mining nodes. And I also added a couple of nodes here, spawn location 1 and spawn location 2. Right here, there's one there, and there's one up here. They're just spheres that are parts. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over here and so yeah, this is the part where it's gonna search through and check if the part has the name of spawn location, and then it's going to insert that to the spawn locations table. So and then over here we have the function to spawn a node in the next available location. So this is going to become more advanced later on, because obviously we don't want to just spawn any node anywhere. We're going to want to have specific areas where only certain nodes can spawn. But for right now, this is fine. So like, for example, this spawn location will probably change to copper spawn locations. And I wonder actually if we should just do that right now. Or we could probably come up with a better way of doing it, perhaps. We could probably add properties to these later on. So we'll just leave it for now. So the example usage here is that you want to spawn a node and then you want to pass the node model in, and it will, it should spawn that node in that particular location. So let's see if this works. So we want to pass in a model called copper that lives in a folder called mineable nodes. Can you update the script to handle this?
To modify the script to handle a specific model named copper from a folder called mineable nodes, you can make the following adjustments. Updated script key points. The script now specifically looks for a model named copper inside a folder named mineable nodes in server storage.
Sorry, Charlotte, let me rephrase that. I want to be able to pass in the name of the node. So if the name is copper, then I want to pass in a string called copper, and it should look for that model. So if it's silver, then it should look for silver, but it should still look in the mineable nodes folder for any of these names.
To modify the script to accept the name of the node as a string, and then find the corresponding model within the mineable nodes folder, you can use the following updated script. Updated script key points. The spawn node function now takes a string node name which corresponds to the name of the model in the mineable nodes folder. The function retrieves the model with the given name from the mineable nodes folder. If the model with the specified name doesn't exist, the script issues a warning. This script allows you to specify the type of node to spawn as a string. You can call spawn node with different node names to spawn various types of nodes, provided that models with these names exist in the mineable nodes folder in server storage.
All right, so we're getting an infinite yield possible here. So let's just feed that back to Charlotte and let her know. Hey, Charlotte, we're getting an infinite yield possible on server storage wait for child mineable nodes.
The infinite yield possible on service storage wait for child mineable nodes. Message indicates that the script is waiting indefinitely for the mineable nodes folder to appear in server storage.
Okay, so I'm just dumb and I didn't move the folder into server storage. So I don't know actually if this is going to affect anything, because the mineable nodes folder used to be in workspace. I can't remember if any of the other scripts use that location for mineable nodes, but let's just run it and see what happens. Okay, Charlotte, so let's update the script that spawns the nodes to add the node to the workspace in a folder called mineable nodes. This is originally where I was storing the mineable nodes when we weren't spawning them dynamically.
To update the script so that it spawns nodes into a folder called mineable nodes in the workspace, you first need to ensure that this folder exists in the workspace. If it doesn't, the script can create it. Then, when spawning nodes, the script should clone them from server storage and parent them to this folder. Here's the revised script. Key changes. The script first checks if a folder named Mineable Nodes exists in the workspace. If not, it creates one. When spawning a node, the script sets the parent of the clone node to Workspace Nodes folder, which is the Mineable Nodes folder in the workspace. This setup ensures that spawned nodes are visible in the game world and organized within a specific folder in the workspace. With this script, nodes will be dynamically spawned into the game world, and players will be able to interact with them as intended. Remember to call spawn node with the appropriate node names based on the models you have in server storage.
Hey Charlotte, I was doing some troubleshooting of the script and I realized that I didn't tell you that the spawn locations were in a folder called or spawns. So I'm going to paste that part of the script and I want you to update it so that it looks for the spawn locations in or spawns.
To update the script to look for spawn locations within a folder named OrSpawns in the workspace, we'll change the part of the script that populates the spawn locations table. Here's the Revise section, Updated Script section, Explanation. This updated script now looks inside the OrSpawns folder in the workspace to find the spawn locations. It iterates through all children of the OrSpawns folder, adding each part with a name that includes spawn location to the spawn locations table. This change ensures that your script will correctly identify and use the spawn locations you've set up in the OrSpawns folder. Make sure that OrSpawns exists in the workspace with the spawn location parts inside it for this script to work as intended.
Alright, let's see if that works. Aha! Man, honestly, Charlotte is amazing. Like, as long as you can explain things properly, then, you can pretty much solve any issue. Now, I will say that, okay, so for anyone who's still kind of new to the series, I'll remind you that I'm not versed in Roblox Studio very well. Like, I know the basic flows, and, like, I've scripted for many, many years in different languages, so, like, I know how to identify if there's an issue, but honestly, like, if you don't know how the flows or if you don't really know scripting that well, you're probably not going to be able to make something like this. At least you're going to have some, issues. So let's see if this works. Yeah, it works. Okay. So, yeah, so that's, there's still, this is possible. It is possible to do this, but, you have to kind of go with the expectations based on your level of experience. So I guess I could say, like, people who are watching this who have extensive Roblox Studio experience are probably like shaking their heads and saying, oh man, there's so many better ways of doing what you're doing. And of course, there definitely are better ways of doing those things. And I am aware of some of those things, but if I do know of a better way, I'm probably not going to change it, because the point of this series is that Charlotte is going to be making the game, not me. I'm kind of just guiding her along based on what I know, and there are going to be things that I don't know also. So yeah, anyway, that's that. So now this is working. All right, Charlotte, so that's working now. The only problem is that the script is spawning two nodes in the same place.
The issue of spawning two nodes in the same place likely occurs because the script doesn't adequately track which locations are already occupied. To fix this, the script should mark a location as occupied once a node has been spawned there. This can be done by adding a flag or a child object to the location to indicate it's no longer available. Here's how you can modify the script. Updated script key changes. Added is location occupied to check if a location already has a node. Added mark location as occupied to mark a spawn location as occupied once a node is spawned there. The spawn node function now checks each location to see if it's occupied before spawning a new node. This modification will prevent multiple nodes from spawning in the same location. Once a node is spawned at a location, that location is marked as occupied and won't be used again for subsequent spawns. Remember, this script should run on the server side, server script service, to ensure proper multiplayer functionality.
Okay, so she didn't give me the whole script. That's okay. I just noticed that she just truncated it and said rest of your script. So I'm not gonna copy the whole thing. I'm just gonna copy this part. And we'll just pop it in before the spawn node. Right here. All right, and for some reason, I assumed that she was tracking occupied, but I didn't. Like I said, I'm not, in previous episodes I said, I'm not really looking at the scripts 100% unless it's absolutely necessary. Like I'm trying to basically treat her like she's the scripter and I'm kind of just overseeing. All right, no errors, so that's good. So once again, it spawned the node over here, and now I have 15 again. Mind that. And now we have 17, so it still didn't work 100%. So let's take a look again. Okay, so what she did was, oh, you know what? Some of the stuff probably got messed up. Populate the table with spawn locations. Okay, so that part is, so yeah, that part's working. Spawn node. Okay, so it spawned 2 copper nodes. Okay. Now it's supposed to check. Okay, so mark as occupied. So that's that function. So we spawn the node. Okay, that's fine. Okay, check if the location is empty. If location dot. So this was so this is what I saw before. If there are no children, then we want to add the node. So we know that that's working at least the first time. 12 locations. Okay, so yeah, this needs to be updated to use her new stuff. So let's get rid of what we did. And okay, so she didn't actually update this. So let's tell her, Charlotte, can you update the script to change the function where we're actually adding the nodes and make it use the occupied flag that you added? I'm going to give you the whole script, and I want you to give me the whole script back this time.
Certainly, Fizz. I've updated the script to use the occupied flag functionality. This will ensure that each spawn location is used only once. Here's the complete updated script. This script should now spawn each node only once per available location. It checks if a spawn location is already occupied before spawning a new node there, and marks the location as occupied once a node is spawned. Remember to run this script on the server side, server script service, for correct multiplayer functionality.
Okay, so now let's see if this finally works. We have 15, mine this one, we should have 16. Yeah, there we go. All right, so as we get more and more complicated, it's definitely taking more and more effort from me to actually make sure that she's doing things the way that I want them done. So, which is fine, because, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in a world where you can just tell ChatGPT to just make you a game and it'll just magically make it. I mean, there are advantages to that, I guess, but I mean, that kind of reduces all meaning of human interaction, you know what I mean? That's like a whole other conversation for another day, but I like that it makes it possible for somebody like me who would not be able to make something like this without spending weeks learning every little thing, you know what I mean? Like, I have the skills to make a game. I've made games before in the past using different languages. I understand how it works, you know what I mean? So, like, I've put in the work to be able to do that. Now, I'm just using ChatGPT as a tool to be able to expand my ability to make games in other languages that I may not necessarily know very well. So, yeah, I think this is good. So, what I want to do now is stop that. And so, like I said before, we're now spawning nodes, you know, in this way, which is not really ideal. You know what I mean? So, what I want to be able to do now is I want to be able to spawn the nodes based on the number of available empty nodes that we can place nodes on. So I'm gonna get Charlotte to update the script for that. So I'm gonna get rid of the spawn node copper down here. And actually, I'm gonna get rid of both of, yeah, no, I'll just leave one. Okay, so we're gonna copy this whole script, and then we're gonna tell Charlotte that we want to be able to go through a for loop that uses the length of the table that we created for the spawn locations and use that to create the nodes. So let's do that. Okay, Charlotte, this is all working now, which is great, but now I want to change the final call, and I want to use a for loop to go through the table that we made that determines how many spawn locations there are, and I want to iterate through that table and spawn nodes that way. I'm going to pass you the script again, and I want you to update the script so that it gives me that for loop at the end.
To modify the script so that it spawns nodes at each location in the spawn locations table, you can use a loop at the end of the script. The loop will iterate through the table and call spawn node for each location. I'll add an array of node names to spawn, which you can customize based on the types of nodes you want to spawn. Here's the updated script with the loop, key changes, added node types, an array of node names. You can add the names of all the different types of nodes you have. Added getRandomNodeType function to select a random node type from the node types array. This allows for varied node types to be spawned. The loop at the end iterates over each spawn location and spawns a node of a random type at each unoccupied location. This script will spawn a mixture of different node types at your predefined spawn locations. You can customize the node types array with the names of all node types you want to spawn. The script selects a random node type for each location from this array, allowing for varied and dynamic node placement in your game.
All right, so she kind of went one step further and added a little bit more functionality that I didn't actually ask for, but that's fine. So we have this this array now. So that I just kind of removed what she added. So now it's only going to be spawning copper. And let's see. So it should now spawn 2 because I have 2 nodes available. So let's just run this and make sure that there's no errors. Okay, looks like I can kind of see the node there. So that's good. Okay, so it spawned the 2 nodes. And I mine this one, I should now have 18. Yep. And then if I do this one over here, I'll have 19. Nice. Okay, perfect. So now that we can go through and add more of these nodes, and then I'm just going to rinse and repeat and add some of these to the map, and then we'll come back and check it out. Okay, so I did some work off camera just to kind of make things a little bit less boring. So the spawn node locations are here now. You can see them. I made them red, and I made them visible by default, but when we actually run the game, it will hide them. It'll make the transparency 1. So I'm pretty sure that should work. And then it will go and add all of the nodes here. I also added a new iron node. You can see it down here. It's essentially the same as the copper node, but it's got more health and it looks different. You'll see it when I actually spawn it in. And I also added the necessary code for the data manager. So now it actually works with the iron as well. So now the player can have iron and copper. So let's just run this and see how it's working. So you can see in my inventory now I have copper and iron, and I actually set the default to 0 right now because I just wanted to reset my save data. So I have to actually fix that so it doesn't happen all the time, but it should only happen if a player is new. So now if I mine that, then I will have 1 copper, and over here you can see the iron, and it's smaller than the copper, but I'll fix the size of that. So you can see that it takes me more hits to actually mine this, right? But I do have iron now, so that all works. So the next step is we need to actually give a cell value to each of these. So we're gonna stop this here, and I'm going to give each of these a cell value. So we don't need to tell Charlotte to do that for us because she's just going to tell us to do exactly what I'm doing here. So I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to call this value. And we're going to give this a value of, I don't know, 10. And for copper, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to duplicate that and we're going to give it a value of, let's say, 2. Actually, this should be 5 maybe. There we go. So now when we sell this stuff, this is the value that we should actually get. So the next thing that I need to do is I want to tell Charlotte that we want to be able to sell this stuff now. So what we're gonna do is for now I'm just gonna put a sell pad, and we'll just get some random sell pad here. Now, of course, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this better in the future, but for now this is just for testing. Like, we'll actually have like a little shop that you walk up to and talk to an NPC and all that stuff. But for now, let's just add something simple. That looks good. And let's just bring this. Oh, I believe. Yeah, so it's called Open Shop. That's fine. Let's just change the name to Sellpad. And the location is fine. All that stuff is fine. Okay, Charlotte. So I added a bunch of stuff to the game, and you can now get iron, and it lets you mine it, and it adds it to your save data and all that stuff. So now what I want to do is I want to be able to sell the stuff from the backpack. So what I did was I gave each of the mineable nodes a value. So copper is worth 2 and iron is worth 5, for example. And I added a sell pad to the game. So if you walk over top of it, I want to be able to sell everything in the backpack. So can you give me a script that I can attach to the sell pad that looks in the player's backpack and sells everything that they have based on the value that I assigned to it? And as I mentioned, I have a number value on each mineable node that is called value.
To create a script that allows players to sell all items in their backpack by walking over a sell pad, you'll need a few components. Script on the sell pad, a script for server side, or a local script for client side, but with a remote event to communicate with the server attached to the sell pad. Detect player. Use a touched event to detect when a player steps on the pad. Calculate total value. The script will calculate the total value of items in the player's backpack based on the assigned values. Update player's currency. Increase the player's currency accordingly. Here's a basic outline of how the server-side script could look.
Okay, so we just asked Charlotte to update our script for the data manager because before it was not handling the case where if I added a new attribute to the player's data, then it would not set it to 0 if an existing player came into the game that had already played before and didn't have a variable. Like, for example, I added coins. Now we were playing and we didn't have coins before, so now that should handle that case. I also changed a couple of things in here so that now when we actually play the game, we can see that we see that we have a coins value in here, so that will help. Of course, this will be in the main HUD, not inside the inventory, but for now I just popped it in there for simplicity. We'll fix that up later. So the next thing we want to do is we want to get Charlotte to make the sell feature, but we want her to do it on the server side because she was saying that she could do it client side and then have it set up in a way that it manages between client and server, but I think we want to do it all on the server. So let's get her to do that. All right, Charlotte. So for the sell feature, let's go with a server-side implementation. So can you give me a server-side script that handles the sell functionality? When we step on the sell pad, we want to check the player's backpack and go through their inventory and sell all of the items that they have and give them the appropriate value for those items. Now, I actually changed the value to be called node value because before I was calling it value, and that is a reserved word, so we don't want to do that.
Certainly, Fizz. For a server-side implementation of the sell feature, we can use a script attached to the sell pad that listens for player contact and then processes the sale of items from the player's inventory. Here's a basic structure of how the script could be implemented. Server-side script for the sell pad. Key points. Sell pad. The part that players step on to sell items. Sell items. A function that processes the sale of all items in the player's inventory. The script assumes each item in the inventory is represented as an int value, where the name matches the corresponding node in mineable nodes and the value is the quantity. Node value. The script looks for a node value object in each node to determine the value of the item. The player's total earnings are calculated and their inventory is reset. Update the player's currency as needed, for example, by incrementing an attribute like player. Set attribute, coins, player, get attribute, coins, plus total value. Remember, when dealing with player data and transactions like this, it's crucial to ensure that your code is secure and robust against potential exploits. This script should be thoroughly tested to ensure it works as intended in your game's environment.
Alright, I had to monkey around with this a little bit, but it is kind of working now. The only problem is that we don't have a debounce on this, so when you actually walk up to the sell zone, then it'll just constantly sell, so like so. So we're gonna get Charlotte to modify the script to have a debounce. Okay, Charlotte, so I'm going to give you this script and I want you to modify it so that it has a debounce, because right now when you touch the sell pad, it just sells over and over again. So we want to make it so that when the player touches the sell pad, it sells, but it doesn't check again until the player has left the sell area and then come back to touch it again. Actually, on second thought, Charlotte, let's change this so that it uses a number of seconds as the debounce, because we're going to change the sell functionality to be UI based anyway. This is just for testing, so let's do it that way.
Using a time-based debounce for the sell pad functionality is a straightforward approach. You can implement a delay in seconds after a player sells items, during which they cannot sell items again. Here's how you can modify the script to include a time-based debounce. Updated script with time-based debounce. Key changes. Added debounce time to specify the cooldown period in seconds. Used a last sell time table to track the last time each player sold items. The sell items function checks if the current time is greater than debounce time seconds since the player's last sell. If not, it returns early. With this updated script, a player will be able to sell items only once every debounce time seconds when they step on the sell pad. This prevents rapid selling and gives a cooldown period between sales.
Alright, let's see if this actually works. So I'm just mining a couple of nodes. There we go. So now we have 1 copper, 1 iron, and we have 0 coins. And we go over here to the sell pad, and we sold for 0. So it didn't actually remove items, so there's something not quite working here. So let's just go and check this out. Alright, so I got most of this working now, so if we press play, you will see that if I go in here and mine something like this, I have 1 iron, and if I head over here, step on this, it'll say that I sold it for 5 coins. Now the coins don't add up yet, but it does remove the iron. So the next step is to add the coins to my total. So let's do that now. So I'm actually going to feed this script back to Charlotte and see if she can figure it out. I know what I have to do with the set attributes, but we want Charlotte to do it. So let's go over to the ChatGPT window. Okay, Charlotte, so the removal of nodes is working now. And now we want to actually add coins to the player. So I'm using an attribute on the player called coins, and I want you to modify the script to add coins in the loop where we remove the items. All right, so I just sent her the entire script again. Let's see what she does with it.
To update the player's coins attribute with the total value earned from selling items, you can simply add the total value to the existing coins attribute. Here's the updated section of the script that handles adding coins to the player. Updated sell pad script to add coins key changes. After calculating the total value, the script retrieves the player's current coins attribute, or defaults to 0 if it doesn't exist. It then updates the coins attribute by adding the total value. The player's coins attribute reflects the new total after selling the items. With this update, when a player sells items on the sell pad, their coins attribute will increase by the total value of the items sold. This should work seamlessly with your existing attribute-based player data system.
Okay, well, let's see. Press play. Okay, now I need to go mine some more stuff. Should really add a run function in here. All right, so we got one of those. Let's get an iron. Oh, the debounce for the mining is not working anymore. I'm gonna have to fix that. Probably got lost along the way somewhere with the random code changes. Okay, so now we have 1 copper, 1 iron. We step on this. It says we sold for 7, and we have 7 coins. Boom. So that works. So I'll fix the issue with the debounce off camera, but as you can see, I think everything that we set out to do in this episode is done now. I don't think there was anything else, but if there was, I will find out when I watch it back, and we will do it in the next one. So thanks for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want to join the Discord, the link is in the description. And let's get Charlotte to sign us off. Okay, Charlotte, we're all done for this episode. Can you sign us off again?
Absolutely, Fizz. And that wraps up this episode of our game development journey. Today, we successfully implemented a feature that allows players to sell items from their backpack, converting their hard-earned resources into in-game currency. This adds another layer of depth and interaction to our game, enhancing the overall player experience. We've made great progress and are excited to see where our next steps will take us. Thank you all for joining us, and stay tuned for more updates as we continue to bring our game world to life. Until next time, happy gaming and developing!